Daylighting means using natural sunlight to provide light for your building instead of electricity or with less electricity. Here are a couple of examples. On the left is the Health and Wellness building on LCC's main campus, and this is a classroom on the north side of the building where direct sunlight never comes in. And I don't know if you can tell from this photo, but if you walk into that classroom, it's quite pleasant. It just is well lit, but also relaxing. The picture on the right is the downtown campus. It uses natural daylighting in its classrooms. This is, I think this is might be an upstairs classroom. So it's LEED Platinum. Health and Wellness is LEED Gold. And the reason architects are interested in daylighting, or one of the reasons anyway, is because electric lighting is a big old consumer of electric energy. You can see in this chart from the Department of Energy that lighting chews up about 1/3 of the energy we use in buildings. And because a lot of our power comes from sources that emit carbon emissions, if we can reduce our electricity use, we can reduce our carbon emissions. There are other side benefits, though. If you are using windows on the south side of a building, you get a double benefit of also having passive solar heat in the winter. In addition, electric lights give off heat, and even fluorescents and LEDs do, although not as much as incandescents. So if you can not have electric lights on, you will have less cooling load in your building. That means you'll have less heat you have to get rid of, and that reduces your energy bill. And then there's another issue that we'll look at the end of the term called biophilic design or evidence-based design. The idea that humans learn better and have lower stress levels when they have a connection to nature, and natural daylighting gives us that connection to the outdoors and just feels better. Here's our pyramid again. This time it's talking about lighting. So the first thing we do is we think about geometry, which means what shape is the building, and we think about providing surfaces that are light colored so they will reflect light. After we've done that, then we go on to think about what daylighting strategies do we want to use, which we'll look at in the next 3 videos. And finally, after we've done all that, we can make up any difference with electric lighting. I would point out that natural daylighting only saves energy when the electric lights are off. And so a part of your work as a designer or builder is to educate the users. People are so used to turning on light switches that even when you give them beautiful natural daylighting, they think they should go over and turn on the switch, and then you have the lights on when you don't need to. So that is a big issue to contend with. Just like with heating and cooling, with natural daylighting, the building is the system. In fact, there's a question in our worksheet in our assignment for today. The question says something like, you have a client who wants to do an all-electric building, and they're saying, well, we'll come back and retrofit the building for daylighting later. And the question is that a reasonable idea? And the answer is no, it's not, because the building is the system. You can't just stick on some daylighting doodads once the building is built. You have to be thinking about it and designing the building to accommodate that light. In the northern hemisphere where we live, facing the south, of course, gives you the best access to sunlight, And the picture at the top of this slide shows the south side of the Health and Wellness building on the LCC main campus. North side is second best. The photo at the bottom shows one of the health professions labs in the Health and Wellness building. And this is on the north side of the building also, believe it or not. You notice how they have lots of windows and they have light-colored surfaces to reflect the light, and it's just bright as can be in there. East and west ends of the building are a little bit harder to manage. So we get light from the sun, and sunlight is a much better quality of light than any electric source. Even with full spectrum lighting, it doesn't match the quality of color rendering that we get from sunlight. So it's really good. But we don't want direct sunlight. If you've ever sat at a table with white paper where you had sunlight coming in directly on your paper, you know what we're talking about. Direct sunlight is just really bright and you get glare and you really can't see very well. So what we want is light from the sky. Think of an overcast sky. That's our ideal situation. We want diffuse light from the sky, not direct light. And here you see some examples of indirect light coming in. If you just had direct sunlight coming in through the window and striking your work surface, that would not be comfortable and it would be hard to see. What you want is one of these other situations where you have direct light bouncing off of surfaces. In the second picture, light comes in the window, bounces off the floor, bounces off the ceiling, and then filters into the room. Or, in the third picture, comes in through the window and hits the floor, and in addition comes in through a clear story and hits the back wall where it can bounce back into the room. Or the bottom picture where we see what is called a light shelf. So light comes in, strikes the white surface of that light shelf, bounces up to the white surface of the ceiling, and bounces back down into the room. And you can see from those lines that you are able to get diffuse light deeper into the room by using that reflection. So reflected light is a source. And you know about albedo. You know that light-colored surfaces reflect light. So that's what we want in our buildings and outside our buildings. We want a light surface that will reflect light into our building. We want our surfaces to be a matte finish. So if you have that shiny, glossy stuff, that doesn't work very well. A matte finish works well with a high reflectance. And architects have some numbers that they throw around about how much reflectance is preferred. Floors, some not as critical. Walls, more important to be reflective. And look at this. Ceilings, that's where you want a light color and the most reflectance, because that light will bounce down into your room. One other thing to think about is location. Where is your building and where are your windows? If looking out the window you can see the sky, then the sky can see you, essentially. If you can see the sky, then light rays can get in. If you cannot see the sky, then light rays cannot get in. So this artist's rendering at the bottom would work well for daylighting because there's plenty of space and sunlight could get in. If you're in one of those urban canyons in a close packed city where the buildings are just right up against the sidewalk and you can't see the sky, that doesn't work so well. So we're trying to have light that we bring deep into the space, deep into the room by bouncing it off of surfaces. We want high quality light that does not have glare and where the contrasts are not too bright, and where the light is diffuse. And let me just say a word about vision impairment. So when we are designing buildings with people with visual impairment in mind, we need to remember that the great majority of people with impairment still have some vision. They're low vision, but they have some vision. And they're not, most of them are not completely blind. So when we're designing spaces, it's essential that we do not have sharp contrasts and glare, because someone with low vision just absolutely cannot see anything in a situation like that. Natural daylighting with low glare and diffuse light is the best situation for someone with low vision. There are, I would say, essentially 3 methods for bringing daylighting into a building, and we'll look at these in order in the next lectures. The first one is side lighting, bringing light in through a window in the wall. The next one is top lighting, bringing light in from the top, and related to top lighting is the clerestory window. And then the third one is light shelves, bouncing light off shelves into the room. So those are coming up next.